The Calgary Flames have certainly been playing better right up until the third period of their game against the Seattle Kraken, where things all fell apart. But where are the Flames right now in the whole tanking situation? Let's take a look and just a lay of the land for the Calgary Flames as we flip the calendar to 2026. So, the 2026 portion of the schedule, not overly kind to the Calgary Flames, but there's a lot of people in the fan base who are particularly happy about that. So let's take a look here. Right now, Calgary is still bottom three in the Western Conference. They are currently, that's points, right? Yes, they are currently at 40 points, which is... rough go in Western Canada. 3 points up on Vancouver and 6 points up on the Winnipeg Jets, where the bottom has just completely fallen out there. And no East teams are below them. It's a very much a Western front at the bottom of the NHL standings at this particular time. And that is where a lot of people want the Flames to be. Now, again, with a whole lot in the NHL, just in general, but with the Western Conference specifically for this discussion, all of that is to say, the Flames also just 5 points out of a playoff spot. So this is where you get a lot of the concern about the murky middle and everything like that. And my thought on this has kind of remained the same the whole time. It's that I don't think that you need to worry about where this Flames team is going to be at. The time you start to worry about the Flames really making a push is when you start to hear them in trade conversations for not the right reasons, right? Like, everyone wants them to trade Rasmus Andersson. That should happen soon. Everyone wants them to move on from Kadri and Blake Coleman as well. Those last two, we'll see on that. But this isn't a very good hockey team. Like, that's basically the crux of this. And I know that they've won a lot of games and they've been able to kind of work their way back. But you think about it, like, they've been a pretty good hockey team since... basically November, right? Like, it's a 2-month stretch where they've played some pretty good hockey. After a disastrous start, they've worked their way back to just 2 points below NHL 500, and they're still third last in the National Hockey League. Like, it's going to take a couple of just wild runs for the Flames to work their way back into a playoff spot or even into playoff contention. So with this roster as it sits right now, yes, Dustin Wolf is kicking, like, it is rebounding. And that's what you want to see. I still don't think it's going to be a problem. Team Tank, I don't think you have to worry about it. It's not a good team. Like, you look at the teams ahead of them right now, like the Blackhawks, the Blues, the Predators. That group was kind of anticipated to be around where the Flames are anyway. And, like, the Blackhawks, they're at this spot and they're going to get Bedard back here pretty soon. The Blues have significantly more NHL talent than the Flames have at this particular time. Now, that we can have a lot of discussion about where you would rather be at this point, the Blues or the Flames, but still, the Blues are a better NHL team on this January 6th, 2026 than the Flames are. The Preds may start selling off, so they could become an issue, but right now, again, better hockey team than the Flames are. And they've beaten Calgary a couple of times now and are working their way out of their doldrums. Like, it would be one thing if the Flames, I thought, were a significantly better team than some of the teams ahead of them, but they're not. And I don't think they're better than Vancouver, who's behind them, and I certainly don't think they're better than the Jets, who are behind them and having a very difficult go of it right now this season. So, Team Tank, I still think everything is fine. Tall John, to your point, the horrible start was epic. Yeah, that helped a lot. And that's a lot to dig yourself out from when there isn't another team that is openly and outwardly tanking, unless, like, you consider the Vancouver Canucks, who moved on from their number one defenseman. But still, like, I think laser beams pointed at Earth, game on the line, planets on the line, and Max Kellerman has taken Iguodala. I would take the Canucks in a game over the Flames right now. If everyone is at their best, the Canucks still have a better roster than Calgary does. So this is... It's been a battle back, and it's the Flames once again just being the Flames, but in terms of like a mushy middle or anything like that, I still don't think you really have to worry about that at this particular time for this group. Tall John also in the Twitch chat. Good for the draft. We should not be worried about making the playoffs till the new building. I'm with you 100%. I don't mind how the Flames are going about it. where you throw the kids in and see where they land. You know, like I hope that Parekh, and we'll talk about him in a little bit, I hope Parekh gets an extended look now at the NHL level and just see where it goes, see how it goes. I would love for Stromgren to get an opportunity here. Steinberg just tweeted out that Beecher's, I think, week to week, I just saw. So I would like to see Stromgren get an opportunity. Let some of these kids, Karens should be back in at some point. I think Gradine should have an opportunity here at some point. Let the kids play and let the chips fall where they may. So no, like it should not be, try to go out and trade for a number 3 centerman. Like if you start to hear the Flames creep up in like Kiefer Sherwood rumors, then you get worried. But as currently constituted, this ain't that good of a hockey team. They try really hard, and they make life really miserable on teams who, in the dog days of the NHL season, would kind of not like to have to work that hard, quite frankly. And that's where Calgary picked up a lot of points last year, and that's where they've picked up quite a few points this year. But you saw it last night. If Calgary has anything less than their A game, it's really difficult for this team to win hockey games. So the tank, not a concern. Not even worried about it a little bit. You're right, Tall John. Like they should be building through the draft at this particular time. And I am a little surprised the Rasmus Andersson trade has yet to come down. I still think it'll probably happen before the Olympics, but I thought it happened before the season, and then I thought it happened before Christmas. So I have been wrong on a number of different levels on that one. And Kadri and Coleman, like Coleman is playing phenomenal hockey right now. And at some point, someone's going to get desperate. With maybe it's now Colorado losing Landeskog for a little bit. But Kadri is just exactly what every playoff contending team needs right now. So the thought of Calgary not getting just a blowaway offer for him, I think that's going to come. Do I think someone will give a Godfather offer for Blake Coleman? Probably not. I think they should. Like, I think he would really benefit a playoff team. But I do wonder if they get a Godfather offer for Kadri, all of a sudden Coleman becomes much more available in trade conversations and works it out that way. So yeah, the tank, where it's at right now, yes, it would be nice if they were just so far out you think they're in first. Like just so far back that it's just there's no hope of any chance of them moving up in the standings. And that's not where they're at. It's probably not where they're going to be at because everything is just absolutely locked in. And everyone is just so muddled and tight in the West right now. But more losses will come for the Flames. That they have a Wednesday night game here against Montreal. I think Montreal is a really interesting test case for the Flames to look at. In terms of like where the rebuild can help and everything like that. But you look at the schedule after that, like Boston, they beat Boston, but that's still, again, I think they're better. Like I don't think the Flames are that good. So I'm looking at all these teams and it's like, well, that could be a win, but probably not. Like it's not a murderer's row coming up. Boston, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Blackhawks, then back home against the Islanders, the Devils, the Penguins. And then it starts to get a little bit tough. Well, once we get toward the end of the month, but even then, like that's a row of teams battling for playoff spots at this particular time. But then you go into toward the break here, and it's home Devils, home Penguins, home Caps, then home Ducks, at the Wild, Sharks. Leafs come to town, Oilers will be here again, and then at the Sharks again. So that last one against the Oilers is the last one before the Olympic break. There's a lot of losses in there, and I think everything is going to be all right for the Flames on the whole tanking front. That is absolutely for sure. Looking at Deez's comment here about Zane Parekh, I want to get to that here in a little bit. I have a couple of things on that. I just want to talk more about the Flame stuff here first, and then we'll talk about Parekh, because I do have something on Zane at the World Junior Hockey Championships and everything like that. As far as last night's game goes, I think it was kind of a perfect summary of where this team is at right now. Because they had a ton, like they played really hard and they created actually quite a few opportunities. If nothing else, they had a ton of zone time early on. It kind of progressed, right? Like they were working hard, winning a lot of puck battles. I thought their work in limiting what Seattle could do on their exits and entries was a real big part of the first 40 minutes of that game. Calgary had a ton of zone time. It wasn't really leading to a lot of dangerous chances. And then the danger started to come. I think they had 11 high danger chances in the second period or something along those lines. They were able to really start to create off of those chances. But again, it's the lack of finish on this team. That they don't have those goal scorers. Coronado, the aim was just off for him last night. That the shots were kind of going all over the place. So they did a good job of creating the opportunities, but they just don't have the guys to take advantage of all the opportunities, which is something we've been saying about this team basically since Gaudreau and Tkachuk left. That has always been the case with this group. But I did really like what they were able to do in limiting what Seattle could do on the exits and thus the entries into the zone. So Seattle would get a couple of rush opportunities, some good chances. Wolf would have to make a couple of good saves, but then Calgary was able to rush back out and set things up very well again. So again, some positive things that they did, but overall, they just don't have the guys to finish that can put this one away. And then it just shows this team cannot take a period off. Because you go to the third period, they've been battling for 40 minutes. It's a 1-1 hockey game. This is an opportunity to step up and really take this one over. And then you get a bad turnover and a goal. And then this team is just not doing what it's supposed to do in terms of, again, the entries and the exits. They let Seattle just free and clear out of the defensive zone, not hindered at all, and so that creates the rush up ice. And when you get that, when it's not a slow exit, and you are able to rush 3-4 guys out, you get what happened on the Dunn goal. And it ultimately was very poor D-zone coverage from Calgary, but you get Kakko rushing up the right wing side. Beniers comes in and kind of takes that wing as well. Kakko stops up right inside the blue line, and honestly, you could almost see how surprised he was with how much time he had. Like, it looked like he was ready to stop up and go. It's wait a minute. There's time now. And he's able to put a perfect pass to Dunn, who's able to make a move, go in and score. But it's Beniers driving in that kind of takes Kuznetsov back a little bit, backs him up, and creates all that time for Kakko to be able to stop up, make the pass to Dunn, and score. Should a defenseman be able to walk 3 of your players to get into the slot and get the goal? No. But all of that gets set up because it was a very clean exit for Seattle. They're able to rush up the ice, and now the Flames are kind of in scramble mode. And of course, you're going to back off and take probably Seattle's best player in Beniers and watch him, but that lets Kakko kind of pick the team apart. And so Calgary stopped doing what made them successful in the first 2 periods, and it just shows they're not good enough to take a period off because Seattle kind of ran their show after that and was in complete control of everything from that point on. So this really did summarize a lot of what is wrong with this Flames team, where they don't have enough guys who can finish, and they just don't have the talent to be able to play at even 85% against teams that are fringe playoff contenders in the NHL. I know Cooley was a little under the weather for this game, but I do think we're getting into too many games now for Dustin Wolf in a row. That was his 6th straight, and he's been playing excellent. And I didn't notice it as quickly as Kelly Rudy did, where Wolf was maybe fighting it a little bit. I thought he made some excellent saves. Now, when you go back and watch, maybe you can kind of see like, okay, yeah, he is maybe not as sharp on rebound control and everything that he needs to do, but he is still at least making some great saves. Like he was good in this game, but we've seen him be great. Honestly, even if Cooley isn't ready, then throw Say in there or something. I think Wolf needs a bit of a breather now, because we're getting back to a pretty ridiculous pace for the Flames' #1 goaltender in a season where you're 3rd last in the National Hockey League. You don't need to be putting those kind of miles on your young defenseman, on your young goaltender in a season that really doesn't matter a whole lot. So, interested to see now what happens. Like I said, I would like to see Stromgren get back in the lineup. I would like to see Parekh work his way back in and just get a real extended run. And again, we'll talk about him here in a second. Just quickly on the Seattle side, Grubauer continues to kind of step up. That was the big issue for them last year, is that goaltending, they just couldn't stop a thing. And that ended up spiraling them into a number of different problems. But like it's a fine hockey team. You have Beniers, who I think is going to be really, really good. But aside from that, it's just, they're kind of where the Flames are. Just, they have a bit more talent, an elevated version of where the Flames are, where they have a bit more talent up and down the lineup, but they probably needed to rebuild a little bit sooner and not try to do the Vegas thing of just make the playoffs right away. Because they have Beniers, right, hasn't turned into that guy yet. Nice goal, but hasn't really turned into that guy yet. But It's like it's a fine hockey team. It's not one that scares you at all, but a pretty good hockey team nonetheless. And Beniers looks like he really is something after maybe a couple years that weren't necessarily what he was looking for. Tall John in the chat. I may fly home for Hockey Day in Canada. My parents live in Moncton, making that decision today or tomorrow. Oh man, that'd be a lot of fun. I do like, sometimes Sportsnet can get a little hokey with the Hockey Day in Canada stuff and everything else that goes around it, but I do love the idea of just Canadian matchups all the way through the day, or Canadian adjacent, because we only have we have 7 teams now instead of the 6. But I love the idea of just Hockey Day. We just roll it all the way through all these Canadian matchups, really gear it up and make a big day of it. And so yeah, get to fly home, hang out with the fam, watch 12 hours of hockey, or just a couple, depending on what games you want to pick. It sounds like a great idea, Tall John, but obviously, a lot of things can go into it. Never been to Moncton. Seems like a cool place, though. So hopefully you get to enjoy that out there. That's it for this part of the Flames Talk. We're going to get into a couple of other hockey discussions here on the live stream, or if you're watching this after the fact, in other videos. But do want to remind you guys that really want to put the pedal to the metal growing the channels here this year. So if you could share this video, if you're watching live or watching this after the fact. Last year, the growth was a lot of fun. Seeing a few more people in the chat, getting to interact with a few more people, that was great. But it's kind of go time now for needing this to grow more. Not that I love everyone who is here. I just want you guys to have more people to chat with. So if you could hit that share button and send it out to your Flames fan friends, and we can keep the conversations going all throughout the day here on Couch Potato Diary.